What up, everybody? At the beginning of Raising Kanan Season 1, everybody except Rock thought that a former kingpin named DEFCON was Kanan's father. But Season 2, Kanan learned that his real father is a cop named Malcolm Howard. The only person Kanan revealed this secret to was his cousin Jukebox. Not even his best friend Famous knows that Howard is his dad. In Season 2, Famous was confused when he saw the daddy test and asked Kanan what MH meant. He said, "Does that stand for DEFCON?" Then in Season 3, Episode 1, Kanan exposed Rock in front of Marvin by mentioning the plan that her and his father came up with to pin everything on Crown. When Marvin replied, "DEFCON dead. What does he have to do with all this?" And Rock had to come clean and let Marvin know the truth, that Kanan's real father is Detective Howard. So now Rock's secret is in the hands of 3 more people, Kanan, Marvin, and Jukebox. And if this secret was ever to be exposed, it could cause problems for the whole family, specifically Rock. But the truth is, DEFCON was left-handed, as Rock would say, and he paid Rock to pretend to be his girlfriend, basically as a sort of cover girl to keep anyone from suspecting anything about him. DEFCON was said by Howard that he should be on the drug-dealing Mount Rushmore with Frank Lucas and Nicky Barnes. Howard almost likely played a key part in the arrest of DEFCON because around the time Rock got pregnant with Kanan, she also worked as Howard's informant between the years of 1974 to 1976. And I recently heard an interesting theory behind this, because I always believed that Rock set up DEFCON, then Marvin, then High Post, so that she would eventually ascend to the throne of the Queenpin of the South Side. But what if that's not true, and Howard took advantage of Rock, being that she was only 15 to 17 years old at the time she was serving as his informant, and he lied from the beginning, saying that she was of age? What if he never told Rock he was a cop, and just used her for information as they were hooking up? Just a second theory to throw out there to take into consideration. But the truth is, though, that Rock has already showed history of being a snitch going back to Season 1 when she told Howard about Unique's incoming shipment. And setting both Unique and now Kanan up to get arrested is worse than snitching, in my personal opinion. But regardless of how it went down, DEFCON was arrested on September 14th, 1974 on 1 count of first-degree sale of a controlled substance, 1 count of first-degree possession of a controlled substance, and 1 count of first-degree possession of a weapon. Then at some point along the way, DEFCON was killed in prison. In Raising Kanan Season 2, we were also introduced to DEFCON's brother, Vernon, who was more interested in Kanan sending him commissary money than anything. Vernon wasn't anything on the level of DEFCON and was in prison for robbing old ladies out of their social security checks. And there's also a very good chance that Vernon knew his brother's secret also, because when Kanan said something about making sure DEFCON was his father, the first thing Vernon did was get very upset and jumpy and say, "Is Rock telling you something different?" Because DEFCON knew about Rock getting pregnant, and of course he knew it wasn't his child, but pretended to be Kanan's father from the inside to keep up his reputation. Then, for whatever reason, DEFCON was killed while on the inside. Getting me 2 OGs like Ronnie and Snaps that Kanan will be hooking up with in Season 3. Keep in mind that both of these characters have no idea that Kanan is not DEFCON's son. Word on the street is Kanan is DEFCON's son, and they have no reason to think otherwise. Now keep in mind the type of respect a cop, Malcolm Howard, had for DEFCON. So we can also guess that hustlers like Ronnie and Snaps probably had just as much respect for DEFCON, if not more. DEFCON was born in 1954, making him 20 years old at the time he was arrested, about 4 years older than Rock. Since Ronnie is Unique's older brother and was running things before Unique, I would guess that he is also around Rock's age, or maybe even older, maybe DEFCON's age. So with that said, we know that DEFCON had the whole South Side on lock. There was no splitting up of territory like there was between Rock and Unique in Season 1. So most likely both Ronnie and High Post, possibly even Marvin, all got their start off in the game working for DEFCON. Either though, since Marvin is Rock's older brother, that would make him closer to DEFCON's age. So there's a good chance that Marvin was DEFCON's lieutenant, because we know he was running things for a while before he got set up and had to go to prison to do a bit. Then there's also a chance that both Ronnie and High Post were leaders in DEFCON's operation. And once DEFCON got locked up, the crew split in half going with High Post and the other half going with Ronnie. So with all that said, when we see things like Ronnie watching Kanan and Famous from across the street, it might not all be out of hate for Rock, but it may also be because he had respect for DEFCON, who Ronnie believes to be Kanan's father. So if DEFCON was the one who taught Ronnie the game and put him on, Ronnie might actually be planning to do the same thing for Kanan. Maybe Ronnie plans on taking Kanan under his wing out of respect for DEFCON. Get me to Snaps Henry. Snaps Henry is now retired and probably around 10 to 20 years older than the other characters, meaning that he would have also been older than DEFCON, but most likely was still connected to DEFCON in some type of way from back when Snaps was in the game. So Snaps will also favor Kanan from the jump, thinking that he's that hustling royalty, DEFCON's son. And in episode 4, we saw Ronnie meeting up with Snaps and his wife Pops. And notice when Snaps extended his hand to Ronnie, Ronnie decided to shake Snaps' hand, unlike he did for Unique when he first got out of prison. Is this because Ronnie respects Snaps but doesn't respect Unique? It could mean that, but it could also be Ronnie did what he had to do because he was coming asking for Snaps' money. Because we can tell he was hesitant to shake Snaps' hand, like he really didn't want to, but at the same time, he didn't want to disrespect him before asking for money. But Snaps gave Ronnie some money and said the money will come with the same interest as usual. Then keep in mind when Unique went to confront Ronnie, Ronnie was eating a pizza. He finally got his own money and could buy himself a pizza. And I'm not saying that Ronnie isn't looking for work and that he isn't going to pay Snaps back. But that is something to keep an eye on. And keep in mind how Snaps and Ronnie smiled at each other when agreeing on borrowing the money. And one more thing before I go. Before Howard knew that he was Kanan's father, he called Kanan hustling royalty and said, sometimes to get to the queen, you have to go through the prince. So with that said, there's also a chance that Ronnie doesn't care anything about DEFCON and is simply going to connect with Kanan as a means to get to Rock. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.